The Dearborn Independent, Chronicler of the Neglected Truth, January 15th, 1927, Volume 27, Number 13. Mr. Ford's page of the Dearborn Independent. The false prophet is usually an honest gentleman whose main error is in posing as a prophet. One fundamental difference between him and the true prophet is in the matter of popularity. False prophet cannot live without it. The other must. One who seeks popularity must obey the laws of popularity, but the true prophet is mastered by other consideration. He is charged with something he must deliver. He may be nearly sensitive to the offense and pain which truth so often gives, but he has no choice. Acceptance is not his problem. His whole responsibility rests with utterance. Utterance is so important to the truth that he cannot rest until he speaks. There is a saying, wise in experience, which runs to this effect: Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. The latter part of the saying is history. It is true of every century and nation that false prophets have reaped great harvests of popularity. The first part of the saying is wisdom. The ripe juice of experience for the popularity that crackles like a pleasant fire is often fed with the fuel of evaded duty and abundant ideals. False prophets are usually honest gentlemen. They have no intention of being false at all. They honestly believe that the true prophet is a fool. Probably there is no doubt anywhere in the world that Isaiah and Jeremiah were true prophets, but they were but two individuals widely separated in time and completely surrounded by a continuous and established order of false prophets. The false prophets were, of course, the ordinary clergy, the ordinary lawyers, and ordinary scholars and rulers of the time. They were the better classes of society and no doubt performed useful service. But they are everywhere described by the voice of truth as false prophets, and the heart of their falsity seems to be in the fact that they were not prophets at all. They were professional men. They read in books what other men have read in other books. They study people to see what pleases them most. They note the hard, rough road of the man who insists that the people must think and put old familiar things to the more thorough analysis, and they choose the easy way. There is, of course, plenty of routine service to be performed along the easy way, but it is not road building. The race is on the move, and there is need of road builders. False prophets are not to be blamed for not being true prophets, for the truth about them is that they are not prophets at all, and should not pretend to be. But because the instinct of the people is to look for prophets, these others offer themselves to fill the gap. That is the height of their offending. They cannot be true prophets for the simple reason that they are not called to be prophets at all. It is assumed, of course, in all that has been said there, that the term prophet is understood as denoting the leader in any vital course, whether invention, industry, politics, science, or religion. One difference, the true and false prophet, is found in this matter of popularity. The false prophet cannot live without it. The other can do very well without it because he must. The reason for his ability to do without it is that he has quite other motives to master him. One who seeks popularity must obey the laws of popularity, but when this is no vital part of one's program, one may disregard it. The true prophet is mastered by other consideration. He is charged with something he must deliver. He is sent on an errand he must perform. He may not talk much about his destiny, but he is conscious of that burden, of the inescapable urge which forces him to the thing he was born to do. He may shrink from the consequences, but he cannot shrink from the duty. It is not to be supposed that he is a joyous rebel flaunting his message to the world for the sake of the pleasure which the subsequent upheaval gives him. No, the rebels who rise for the fun of it and send their insurgent shouts gleefully across the world are almost always false prophets. The true prophet is apt to be nearly sensitive to the offense and pain which the truth so often gives when it first makes contact with falsity. If his word concerns the doom of a system, he feels the suffering of timid souls who do not care to march with progress. The evangelist who sends multitude to hell with great unction and gusto is a false prophet. And his first falsity is that he does not believe his words enough to fill them. He is repeating a rote. The true prophet has no choice about his message. It is not given him to pick and choose among the things which the crowd will most readily accept. Acceptance is not his problem. His whole responsibility rests with utterance. Utterance is so important to the truth that it does not give him rest until he speaks. And his ability to speak, the force of what he says, is found in his vision of the truth of it. His link in the chain is utterance. The resulting offense, and it may be persecution, is not his affair. He knows that utterance is the sharp flying wedge of truth which must infallibly cleave its way through all opposition to a general acceptance. He may not see this at once. He may only see through all his career the gathering forces that oppose his truth, but he knows that this very gathering of opposition is providential, for it is being gathered and headed up that it may all be destroyed together.